Imagine if leadership and development was a uniting factor for people towards a certain achievement. When people set aside their political differences and affront a cause that will benefit everyone.
What does omuntu wa wansi see as development in Entebbe?
Mbuuza meya achegana, tauni kiraka achegana.
Who is the problem now?
Ensonga ene ejja kuggwa.
That is politics.
Era tulina kyakulya n'ekya tekigenda kubaawo.
Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. as we discuss matters in Entebbe, the first Uganda's colonial capital, and what it deserves.
Well, a very good morning, and once again, welcome to the new episode of Entebbe today. This beautiful Saturday, the 5th of April, 2025. It's been quite an intense time for the country to run through a lot of happenings. But particularly this time, we return once again with another interesting topic that seems to be virgin and raw, especially to the young learners. It's been noted that, of course, the aviation industry in the country is one of those that are taken to be raw and virgin, given the fact that the country is investing a lot in the national carrier, expanding its territorial routes. As we speak, the recent one launched was to the United States. And this is another milestone, especially when the continent seeks a direct flight. What does this imply to the local population and the people in the aviation industry? We understand of the fact that the personnel that do the aviation industry or operate in the aviation industry, especially in the national carrier, 40% are only Ugandans. The sensitive jobs there you talk about, the pilots, the engineers, and the rest that play vital and key roles in that. We know that in the country, it's only the Sorority Flying School that takes on the engineering courses, and the information we have is at least only 10 students are taken or are given opportunities per intake to train. Where do the rest of the Ugandans go to have these engineering courses? It's the conversation that we want to give discussion today, and of course to shed more light. As we speak now, the engineers in the country are saying no, the country deserves better, we need our own. And as we speak now, a lot is being done. An innovation, an idea, and a feeling of supporting young people is what is being implemented on ground, and not any other institution. Georgia Aviation Academy, Entebbe, is trying to set ground running for this. And joining me in the studio is one of the head of the the trainers, who is John Baptist, Edith. And John Baptist, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you very much, Ivan.
I also have the Opedori Musa, who is the engineering instructor at Georgia Aviation Academy. Thank you so much for also joining me on the show.
You're welcome.
What makes you think that the engineering industry needs more of a touch to develop and put out more resource personnel?
Okay, Ivan, thank you once more.
Yeah.
I think some time back I was in this show.
Yes.
And, some of you saw us. My name's Edith John Baptist, and I am the head of training. I just want to start by doing a small correction to Ivan.
Yes.
The recently launched route was not the United States.
Oh, sorry,
UK.
Oh, sorry, UK. Sorry, I said yeah.
Gatwich.
Yes.
UK. So, yes, there is a big gap in engineering training in Uganda. Like he said earlier, the only school that does engineering training is the flying school, the famous flying school. Its real name is East African Civil Aviation Academy. But for quite a long time, most of the students who don't get the opportunity to go there, they go out of the country. Some go to India, some go to China, others go to Europe, and recently there is a big influx into Nairobi, Kenya, because the Kenyans have kind of gone up. However, the challenge has been when most of these students come back in the country, they face a challenge with the national authority because their schools are not approved.
Yes.
And that is where the gap has been. So as Georgia Aviation Academy, we saw this gap. I was an instructor at the Sorority Flying School. I saw this gap and I'm like, it has to be bridged. There is no need for Ugandans to go out of the country.
And just to give a recap, I think the national carrier is serviced and maintained in South Africa.
Okay, the national carrier is maintained by, I think, 2 MROs. Those are maintenance organizations.
Yes.
There's one called SAT. That's a South African one.
Yes,
South African
that's what I was.
Techniques.
Yes.
And then at some point there's another one called Samco, but
Yes.
I think they left. I'm not sure about that. So, but the Airbuses are maintained in South Africa for sure. You're right.
So that's exactly because we wanted to bring the conversation home, and so somebody would be like, since we're expanding and the airline is growing, why don't you have Ugandans also take part of this? And just before Edith, I will come back to you. Musa, you are an engineering instructor, but what is the magnitude of this demand? For the fact that some young Ugandans have to take on this aviation engineering. People think that when you are doing engineering, you have to be on the road, and if you are doing aviation, any aviation-related course, you have to be in the cockpit, or you have to be air hostess or something like that. But the engineers seem to be overshadowed by everything. What do you think that's that's the reason why people don't know about this? Because if I got about 10 young people, even if doing sciences, and I ask them if they know about engineering, I mean aeronautic engineering, I am sure I would either get none or one that can still talk about it.
Sure, thank you so much. I will give you an example.
Yes.
If you have a car,
Yes.
and many young people would like to have cars.
Yes.
Future. And you find this instance whereby someone wants to own a car, but they only look at the driving bit about it. Have you ever met someone and the tire is deflated, they're at the roadside, and who do they call at that moment? They do not call any other driver. They look for someone to fix. They look for the mechanic, the engineer. In USA, we are called mechanics. In UK, it is engineer. So it depends on which line you are using.
You're using, yes.
Now, an engineer is very important when it comes to an aircraft. Why? Because we have a regulator called CAA, Civil Aviation Authority, and the regulator requires that the plane must remain as good as the prototype or the manufacturer's instructions. So an engineer makes sure the plane is working well, because in aviation, safety is considered first. We need safety of passengers who are in the plane, safety of the luggage that is in transit, and to do that, we need an engineer to maintain the plane. Now, there are instances whereby you can go to the pilot, or if you have watched a movie and a flight is cancelled, you may find and think,
you don't know who has cancelled the flight.
You don't know who has cancelled, but it's the engineer who has said, now, this plane, something is leaking, and if it goes to fly, before you even take off or before you reach 26 or 36,000 feet in the sky, it may start to come down and it may kill the people. So I've cancelled this flight. Let it be rescheduled.
And people don't know. People think that when you're saying that maybe Uganda Airline has cancelled its flight, they think it's just a management issue, or maybe something to do with I don't know how best I can describe it, but you don't know that the engineer can be behind the cancelling of a flight, and that's for your safety.
Yes.
Actually, the reason why flights, most of the times why they are cancelled, is related to safety issues, and these are rooted to the engineering.
Yes.
Like he said, you might have seen that if I release this aeroplane without fixing a part ABC, it might cause problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with all, okay, let me ask you a simple one. With all the airlines that we have in the country, you now try to give a ratio of the native engineers, the engineers that are Ugandan, and compared to the foreign engineers. Somebody was telling me you can even get at 30%. Only engineers from Uganda are as few as 30%. But the rest of the engineers that are, let's say, KQ, Etihad, Qatar, Ethiopia, you find these are foreign engineers.
Yes, that's true. And, there are foreign airlines, for example, the ones you just counted. Let's pick, for example, Etihad. And in most cases, they want to employ someone with a particular type of license. In order to be an engineer, you need a license. It's like to drive on our roads in Uganda, you need a driving permit.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, even to touch a plane, you need a particular license. Now, the Ugandan authority or the school, the only school in Uganda, prepares you for an A and C license. But the license that is required for those bigger planes or bigger airlines, they need what we call a B1. There is no school currently in Uganda that helps or prepares you to earn that license. Someone has to study and then maybe go outside the country to learn more and acquire that license. Now, Jojam is currently enrolling a program which might begin running, which is most likely to run this year.
Just a correction, not might. As we speak, the dates have been confirmed for 21st August.
Yes.
So we are affiliated or in partnership with some European schools.
Yes.
One of them is called SN2 and the other is called Entebbe. And we are going to start issuing these licenses, the B1, B2. That is a European license. It's called B1, B2.
That means you started from Georgia. You get a license, an equivalent of studying in that school in Europe.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like we are an examining center. We are in partnership with them.
Okay.
So the first sitting will be in the 21st of August. It's officially confirmed.
Okay.
So it's a new program and it's one of the good things that we are having. It's the first of its kind in Uganda. There was a school in Nairobi which has been doing it for a while, but now we can do it in Uganda here as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
And also, we talked about 10 students being taken in for the East African Aviation School in the one I called the Sorority Flying School. But somebody would ask, where do the rest of the Ugandans go? Because there is demand for these. Where do the rest of the Ugandans go? Because
if you had my introduction, it is true. The flying school. I think it's policy. I don't know if it has changed. The last I knew, they would take about 10 students every year. But you may find that over 20 have applied. They all need places, but they are subjected to aptitude tests and other requirements, so they get the best 10. But maybe it has changed. You need to first research.
Yeah.
The rest used to go out of the country.
And if you don't go out of the country?
If you don't go out of the country,
you have to change course.
Maybe go to Makerere for mechanical, automotive. Yeah, if you can't afford going out.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have been going to a university for other engineering degrees, but because they couldn't get an opportunity.
Okay, now we're speaking about Georgiam. Let's bring the conversation back to him. What exactly are you targeting as Georgiam in as far as how you are making these efforts? I am sure you are doing the innovation yourselves, not with the hand of government or what and anything, because to me I think these are some of the courses that government should have come out and said, now this year we need, let's say, 100 pilots, since we are targeting maybe in the next 40 years, so not 40, let's say 10 years, the national carrier will be expanding fully its territorial routes, and now we need, let's say, 10 engineers. That's what I've seen some countries do, even Kenya.
Yes.
They say we need, let's say, 50 best performing students doing sciences, and we want to send them to China.
Actually,
we need 100 best performing maybe students in science. We send them to India for for medicine and other medical related courses. And this, I think, how a country projects itself as maybe better placed for developing that kind of institution and sector.
Sure.
Yes, but what exactly do you want to put on table as Georgia, as far as how you're making these efforts? Let me start with you, JB.
For starters, us being young people, we research a lot, and I am a bit privileged, and I want to thank God that I'm a bit exposed in aviation. I've traveled to the US, I've traveled to several countries, and I've seen these things being done. So
let's go on.
And I've seen these things being done. So the thing is, one of the innovations we have is, apart from just having the A and C license, which Apedor talked about earlier, we decided to integrate the B1, B2. That is the European license. As you are aware, most things that come from Europe are treated as a high class or something like that. So within Georgia, we decided to integrate the B1, B2. So most of our students are going to graduate with both the A and C and the B1, B2.
Yes.
At least we may not give them the B1, B2 license, but we are going to give them modules, the exams. So when you're getting a license, there are levels. You first do the knowledge base, which is the exams. After that, you go to the practical. So that is maybe where they will be, after school, they can get where to do. It's like an internship or OJT. So that is one of our bonus. We give you both the A and C and the B1, B2. We qualify you for both those licenses.
Which?
By the way, to be very specific, no school issues licenses. We only qualify students for a license. We are approved to qualify you for a license.
Then after you qualify, a student has to
national authority has to issue the license.
That's civil
These
aviation.
are ICAO licenses.
Yes. And have you received any ground support from the support institutions like Civil Aviation and the rest to help you? I know you have to take a process to, first of all, get the school certified and all those. Have you received any ground support from these institutions?
Yes, the authority is very supportive. Like I told you earlier, in the other show we had, and I will say it again. We are in phase 3 of engineering certification.
Yes,
that is about to 80% complete for the Ugandan, for the A and C that Musa talked about earlier. However, like I told you, we are already running the European program.
Yes.
The B1, B2.
Yes.
It's already running. And the first examinations will be done in August 21st, as I said. It was just confirmed about a week ago.
So you make me understand, which kind of students are you targeting? I know there are many senior 4s and senior 6s that got their results, and some of the parents are now trying to find where they can fix their children to have or undertake an advanced level courses and stuff like that. So which specific students are you looking at to join Georgia Aviation Academy?
Okay, the students that we are looking at, our core priority is physics and math at A level. However, someone who has got, because our syllabus is benchmarked from IASA, someone who has got a physics or a math, a principle in one of them, either one of them is still qualifies, but we walk you through a bridging course, a 6-month bridging course. And then people who have done certificates in engineering disciplines, maybe automotive, maybe any engineering discipline, electrical, they also go through our 6-month bridging course. However, those who have diplomas and above, they go straight for the program, just like the person who has a principal in A level. Yes.
So, what is the procedure? I know there are many learners, some up country, and we're talking about Georgia Aviation Academy, which is based here in Entebbe. What is the procedure for them to join? Do they have to find you online? Do they have to come physically to the school? Do they have to call numbers?
I think Musa can.
Wonderful. Now, that is a nice thing, because we really want these people to come. So we thank all the listeners, first of all, and above all, we have we have an online program, so you can check out the website, and in the website it even has how much the duration the course will take, the cost. It has the eligibility requirements, and to a greater extent even what you will be covering. So from the website you will be guided on how to join in or apply. However, we also avail contacts on the website, and these contacts someone can call, an email, someone can send a mail, and most importantly, it would be very nice when they come physically.
Actually, I was just been I was trying to confirm with what you were telling me.
Yes.
I don't know if my producer will be able to give it to me on screen here, but I'm seeing www.georgiamaviationacademy.org. Yes,
that is the
programs.
website.
That's the website,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes.
So so when you get there, what do you see when you get to the website? I just want to run through maybe in about 30 seconds. You're able to view the courses about. I can see Georgiam, about us, courses and contacts. There is a / down for apply now.
Yes.
So that's when you start putting in your details.
Okay.
I can see producer just give us a short time. I'm just trying to verify something. So when you apply, I can see you have the names there, gender, you select the goal. Okay, it's a lot. Somebody can just go in and fill the mail, your city, whatever, zip code and phone number. So when you apply and feed in those details, what happens? Somebody from Georgia is able to call you?
Yes.
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 When you click submit, it automatically links to our email.
Okay. And you have the information. Now you are able to call that person and confirm their interest. Yes. Okay. So many parents are watching us, guardians that have been sponsoring some of these young people you've talked about. What do you think they should do now in case they pick interest in having their children join Georgia Aviation Academy?
Okay, the common question we always get from these youngsters is the jobs. The jobs there. Okay, there was should I call it a myth or a slogan that we have
okay. Hold it there, JB. And my producer says we'll have to take a very quick commercial break. I earlier said that, of course, I have the top chiefs from Georgia Aviation Academy just breaking down the aviation industry, especially for young people. You're a young learner that just finished Senior 5, Senior 6. You'd want to take on an aviation course, engineering being one of the raw and virgin courses that of course, whose voice have been amplified. I earlier said we're powered by Georgia Aviation Academy for the show, and we'll now take a very quick commercial break. When we return, we'll be discussing the way forward. What does someone should do, where and how you can join Georgia Aviation Academy. Quick break, we'll return shortly. Welcome to Entebbe. Uganda's first colonial capital, the home of recreation and tourism. Meet its welcoming people and enjoy the fresh winds from Lake Victoria.
Lillian! Lily flower!
Osmosis.
The cedar bus of beauty, the power bank of my heart, the sugar of my milk tea.
I'm glad you're here. Today buy for us some chicken.
No problem. You can eat whatever you want. I had already ordered. How much?
122.
120?
2.
Now, what if I take this one and this one? And can I also borrow this one? How much now?
When your money is not enough, don't hassle. We're sorting it with MTN Momo. Use the Momo app or dial *165 *5# to add call with Momo Advance and pay.
Entebbe, the land of freshness, fresh breeze, fresh water, fresh weather, and fresh foods. Entebbe is not just the gateway to Uganda, but also fresh foods supplied from 81 Sese Islands in Lake Victoria. Fresh foods from the garden to Chitoro Market and straight to your home. Visit Chitoro Market in Entebbe, Uganda's first capital for all your fresh foods.
Okay, we'll be back from that commercial break. Still in the studios, I have John Baptist Edit, who is the head of training at Georgia Aviation Academy. Also, Apedori Musa, who is the engineering instructor, still at Georgia Aviation Academy, and still discussing matters aviation engineering. I earlier said, we alluded to a fact that there is still more demand for human resource in the engineering field, given the fact that Uganda's national carrier is expanding and the aviation industry generally, speaking about what is needed for young learners, especially those that have finished Senior 5, Senior 6. Just before we went for a quick commercial break, JB, you're talking about something. You were telling me that you offer, yes.
When I was still studying, people used to, when you go to the village, they ask you, but how many aeroplanes? does Uganda have? Where will you get jobs?
I think by then we had only for the presidential aircraft and the UPDF.
So,
yes.
I always, last week we were having a carrier yard at Taiba. We went to Boutique, Kira College Boutique. I always tell these young people, it's not about the number of aeroplanes Uganda owns. Because even Emirates lands here.
Yes.
And it also has to be worked on.
Yes.
So it's about the global aviation traffic. Don't look at it in the past. Aviation is global. It's broader than just Uganda.
Yes.
So if you say to count Ugandan aeroplanes owned, you will miss out.
To maintain the ones for UPDF, you have to be a soldier, I think.
Eh.
Then you have only the presidential aircraft that was there back then. Eh?
Exactly. But within Uganda, we have other operators like AirServ. You've heard them.
Yes, yes.
Aviation.
Eagle Air.
There are many. Eagle Air. Those are still not enough. We have the operators who come in, the Emirates, the Etihads, the what. All these people need people. And they will not segregate you that you're Ugandan or what.
Yes.
This license is called ICAO. ICAO is the International Civil Aviation Organization, the overseer of aviation in the whole world. So when you get the license, it's an ICAO license. However, there are those small differences like what Musa talked about. The European one is more heavier than the Ugandan one. That's why in Georgia we are trying to bring in the B1, the European license also. Our students should graduate at least qualified already for the European license.
Musa, somebody would think, actually, including me myself, I thought to join the aviation industry or take on a course which is from aviation, you have to be a son from a rich family or a daughter from a rich family. If your father is not a minister, if your father is not an MP or somebody serving in a big position for the government, you cannot join aviation. That's the narrative we used to have. So your father has to be loaded because it's not a cheap course.
I don't think that's true. Musa, what do you think?
It is affordable. At Georgia, we have different courses. Some are actually $1,500 US. And if you convert, you can know how much that
4-point-something million is that, if I get right.
And how much is paid in a private university today per semester. Plus other fees like if you consider the tuition, the functional fees, and so on, how much is paid, you realize it's just about the same amount. And then the most expensive course we have is engineering, and it is actually our lead course. We have different courses like airport operations, flight operations, cargo introductory, fares and ticketing, and others. And there are other aviation schools that also offer these schools, but we are introducing a virgin profession. This is a profession that really is in high demand. We have very few engineers, and it costs about 18,000, but we have a plan. For example, depending on the parent may say, I earn every 2 months or every 1 month. So we can break it down for you.
And you create a payment plan.
Yes, we create a payment plan, which you, the parent, can afford. Yeah. So
and then let me just go back to JB. JB, I want you to inform the parent that is watching or a child that's watching, how much somebody pays for application fee. You get?
Yes.
If you're using online and fail, what is the alternative? Then what is the procedure for somebody to fully be integrated in Georgia as a learner? Use about maybe 30 seconds if you can.
Okay. Our application fee is 70,000, non-refundable, just like any other institute. And what did you say next?
Next is you start on the process now.
Oh,
using
once
website.
You fill in the form. There's a form we give you. You fill it in. You can either come and pick it physically at the academy, or you fill online, like what he was showing us earlier.
Yes.
Once you fill in the form, you send your documents. We scrutinize it. We give you the admission letter. Once you get the admission letter, we also have functional fees, which is I think about 700,000.
Yes.
It caters for medicals and many other things, uniforms. They are all in that functional fees, the ID and all that.
Yeah.
So after that, you are admitted basically.
Yes. Okay. Then also, I want you to inform the learners that Katabi, I know, is where you have the main branch. But I also understand all your trainings are done in Jinja.
Yes, I had forgotten that.
Yes.
So Georgia Aviation Academy, we have an MOU with the Uganda Police Air Wing, and actually myself, I am the head of quality and safety for Uganda Police Air Wing. So our students, we intend to take them for practical training on live aircraft. Now there are two different types of practical training for aircraft engineering. There is one that is done in the workshop. We do that at the school together with the theory. Then there is a period when the regulation requires you to do practical training on live aircraft.
Yes.
So we take our students to Jinja Chimaka Airfield at the police facility. Yes.
And then also
apart from that, even there is another company in Nairobi called Helicopter International. We also have an MOU with them for practical training on a live aircraft for our students. So that is it.
Okay, let me come back to Musa. We are winding up the conversation now. This is April. You're saying the exams will be in August. Is it what I got? We said the entry exams.
Yes.
Is it what you said?
That is for the B1, B2 license, the European license.
Yes.
21st August, we're having the first sitting.
Okay.
Now, this is not limited to the Georgian students.
Yes.
Even there are engineers who are working in Uganda Airlines in the industry.
Yes.
And they want this license.
Okay.
Like Musa said earlier, that license is on demand. That B1, B2 license, the European license, it's on demand.
Yes.
So these exams are free for anyone, any engineer who wants to upgrade to that license.
Okay.
And some have already enrolled. We have numbers, people who have already enrolled.
I know my producer,
something I forgot just quickly. After you filled in the form, we subject you to an aptitude test.
Yes.
Before we take you on.
Yes.
Yes.
So what does that course
you have to
require?
pass the aptitude test with at least 70%.
I've been at home from when I sat for my senior 6 last year. I've been at home. Now you're subjecting me to an interview. Whose notes I've not read. Oh, it's like GP.
No, this aptitude test is not technical. It is basically like IQ test. Basically,
yeah, logic and reason.
Yes.
Because I was now wondering, I've been home from last year. I've not read anything, and you're subjecting me to a test. That's what I was going to say. When would you expect me to get the answers? Okay. Do you have deadline for application?
No, you can apply anytime.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means you can plan maybe in May, June, July, and apply to join.
Actually, we already have students who applied as early as December last year, but they declared that they want to do in August.
Okay.
So you can apply anytime, but you tell us which intake you have, you want. We have about 3 or 4 intakes.
3.
You can guide me.
Producer, you must roll for me those contacts down there for purposes of our audience getting this. But let me wind up the conversation with Musa. I'll get back to you maybe for 30 seconds. So, what kind of can I say personnels or professionals do you want to see come out of Georgia, as far as how you are undertaking all these efforts, Musa?
These kind of professionals are professionals that are going to be subject to license exams by the authority, because we give them the theory and prepare them for exams which will be given to them by CAA, Civil Aviation Authority. So
would you want to see that maybe in 5-10 years to come, Georgia Aviation is the leading producer of best engineers, maybe in the region?
Yes.
Nationally.
Yes. That's actually the thing, but they have to go through CAA after, and then when with the theory we give them in class and the practical sessions we take them through, really prepare them for the field. And we also encourage them to be committed to hard work. So by 5-10 years, actually Uganda Airlines has a 10-year plan. If you go to the internet and look out for it, it's expanding. It is going to have its own hangar, and it's going to need many engineers. And we are looking that Georgia is going to produce engineers who will fill up those gaps. And they will be doing a wonderful job to make sure Ugandans fly to UK safely and come back to Uganda, and so on and so on. So we are looking at very, very good and prepared engineers in the next 5-10 years.
JB, I will wind up with you. And how are you now? I know you are still running a campaign to visit schools and sensitize the young people, give them knowledge about this. Is this still ongoing?
Yes, like I told you earlier, last week we had a session at Entebbe. Then we went to Ginger at Kira College Boutique.
Why don't you also go to Bududa, where I come from? And
we intend to.
I wish I could have some 2 or 3 engineers from Bududa and Manaf. That's my home region.
We have a work plan to go to every region at least. Yeah, it's already ongoing. So for the schools, we have put our applications requesting for them to invite us for their career days.
Yes.
So these 2 honored the invitations. Others are still communicating with our marketing team. So whichever honors, we shall go there. But we have that long-term plan of going to every region. Go to the west, go to the north, go to sensitize that man on ground, that last person, Muntu Wansi. Yes,
but to me, I think just maybe 10 seconds. I think that such courses, maybe the national carrier government should have been taken this as very key, especially for supporting, to see that the Ugandans embrace their own and especially take advantage of how the industry is growing. To me, I think, in my own opinion, organizations or a company like Uganda Airlines should now have been on board, because what you will produce is what they will consume. You get, and also government coming through to support. I don't know if you're having plans of engaging.
Yes, like you, for example, Uganda Airlines. You brought a good example. We wrote to them. We are just waiting for a response. We wrote to them intending to, like I told you, we have MOUs with other MROs. We also wrote to them that we intend to have an MOU with you guys, but we are waiting. Being a government
for the rest, yes,
government entity, you never know.
It has to go through a process, policies,
the bureaucracy and all that. But we have written to several ministries, to Uganda Airlines, requesting the ministries to give students maybe like scholarships, specifically like the Ministry of Education and Works.
Yeah, the district quotas.
So
I don't know why.
The way they can merge with us, they give scholarships to students, because most people are asking, can you give scholarships? But remember, this is a private institute. It's quite tricky.
It runs on what the students pay.
Yes, it's quite tricky for us, unlike Soroti, which is subsidized by government. So we are requesting for that, but just prayers.
We pray for everything going on. Your last words to the audience, maybe, before we sign up the show.
Okay, my last words to the to the audience. We have been discussing, we have very many other courses, but there is a reason why we are fronting the engineering. Engineering is really virgin, and the industry is growing. And if you look at the trend of technology, the AI and all that, even AI needs to be maintained. At the end of the day, engineers will never be phased out. I once said that these aeroplanes are so automated that the only reason a pilot is there is for a human factor. There is no way a person will allow to fly an aeroplane which does not have a human being in the cockpit. But some of these aeroplanes are so automated that there is no need for a pilot.
Oh.
However, you cannot avoid an engineer. He's the one.
I am sure I cannot go in if they tell me no pilot.
He's the one to fix these computers. He's the one to do all the things.
Yes,
you get it? Yeah. So engineering is really there, and it's here to stay. Even with AI, which is now eliminating people's jobs, engineering will never go away. So embrace engineering, and you will.
And they're the ones that set AI.
Exactly. We develop it and
okay, gentlemen.
And maintain it.
Okay, gentlemen. I want to thank you for the time being, and thank you for really making good submissions. I want to say it will open people's ears, and we hope, of course, the young people take this message so serious. We hope to see also, as ML Radio, Georgia Aviation Academy grow, that tomorrow we talk about the success and fruits that we initiated. Yes, thank you so much for making your time to come through to the studios.
You're welcome.
Been a good, insightful conversation with the two gentlemen from Georgia Aviation Academy, giving information to the young learners, and we hope that this is for a purpose. And you're a young learner, you finished senior 4, senior 6, please take one of the courses. They say engineering is key, but they also have many other courses. But I also said earlier on, this show is fully sponsored by Georgia Aviation Academy. Go to the website www.georgiaaviationacademy.org/programs. Find which one you can take on. And for time reasons, I now want to sign out the show and say we will catch up next time, same time, 9 a.m. to 10. Good morning to you.
Imagine if leadership and development was a uniting factor for people towards a certain achievement. When people set aside their political differences and affront a cause that will benefit everyone.
What does omuntu wa wansi see as development in Entebbe?
We have the only international airport in this area.
There is no way we can underlook issues of health.
Mbuuza meeya akyegana, tawunikiraka akyegana.
Who is the problem now?
Ensonga eno ejja kuggwa.
That is politics.
Era tetulina kyakulya n'ekya tekigenda kubaawo.
Ate ne President Museveni bannanga akyali baby.
Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. as we discuss matters in Entebbe, the first Uganda's colonial capital, and what it deserves.